All right. Theme song in three, two, one. And welcome back to the Constitutionals podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. It's a website. Go there. Just clearing out all of my notifications for the past 30 minutes. I just got done doing an interview with an actress that you will see in a TV show. I don't know why I paused. The show is called, I'll get into this after the break, but the show is called, maybe I'm slowly dying, and that was my response to be slowly dying. De Brutas Nada. It's a Spanish language show set in Mexico City, shot in Colombia is what I found out, and it's a rom-com dram, mostly rom. So rom-com. And it stars a bunch of funny Spanish-language actors, Spanish-speaking actors. And, we'll get into that after the break. So let's get into whatever this show is right now. Let's hop in because we got a lot to talk about. Welcome to Constitutionals, episode 175. I think that's what it is. And you know what? I'm not going to check. This first story comes from Variety. Where it was written by Michael Schneider. Sorry, I was reading this side, and I saw that Sega's developing a Yakuza live-action adaptation based on the video game. Anyway, Emmys, but little known fact about the video game series Yakuza, it was only released in Japan on like the PS2 or the PS3, one of those consoles, and then it slowly started trickling over here to America. And it's not a little known fact. This is if you play video games, you know this. And so it slowly started with like Yakuza 3, I think, like starting with Yakuza 3 or 1, and then 2 and 3, and then obviously 4 and 5 followed. But then they have prequels like Yakuza 0, Yakuza Kiwami, and Yakuza Kiwami 2, and like they have a spin-off series. And it's Yakuza is an RPG series. Fighting open world game, and it's about you're just in the Yakuza world in Japan, and there's mini games, and like that's the draw. There's a huge sprawling story, mini games, and you have like multiple fighting stances, and it's really cool. And so I thought for years I thought, I'm gonna love these games, I'm gonna love them, and with Xbox Live and PlayStation Network, you get some free games sometimes, and I got a couple of these games for free, and turns out I don't like them. I spent all this time thinking I like these games. I don't like them. I don't like the way they control. It's all jittery and janky. A lot of the games are not dubbed, and so you have to read the subtitles, and there's a lot of cutscenes, so it's not a problem, but it's just the controlling is not what I thought it was going to be. Anyway, they're fine games. I'm just not that interested. All right, so let's move on. Written by Michael Schneider. On Variety, Emmys behind the scenes, Jimmy Kimmel, co-head writer Molly McNary, also his wife, on what went right and what went wrong. So the Emmys happened. They were at home. Everybody, I think it was a good Emmys, lowest rated Emmys of all time thus far. Thought it was good, considering, and they handled everything well enough. If you like the Emmys, then you like that. And I can't imagine someone just, every year watching it and hating it. So there was things like, there was a bit where Jimmy made it seem like they were hosting the Emmys live with famous people there. Obviously it was fake. And if you're stupid enough to believe that it was real, then, come on. Let's see. Jennifer Aniston, there was a fire bit, and Jennifer Aniston had trouble putting out a fire. This is true. This is a really true thing that I really love. They had people in hazmat suits. All night long, they had commercials of the new Kia Optima or whatever, and how fast it was. And they were telling you, hey, we at every single one of these people's homes and locations, we're going to deliver the Emmys live. And by like the third time they said that, like at first I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then the second time I thought that can't be true. Third time I said, no, that's impossible. And then Rami Youssef, when he lost, spoiler alert, for his show, he tweeted out something like the next day that said, when you lose an Emmy. And it was a person in a hazmat suit holding an Emmy and just like waving and then like leaving, walking off away from Rami's house. And so apparently what they really did send people to all around, the world to deliver these Emmys, like live and in person. And what they did was, and you'll find out in this piece if you ever read it, you didn't know if you had the winning Emmy until like a minute before it was announced. So everybody was like at the ready, and then they go, okay, go to Kerry Washington's door and knock on the door, and then like, hey, you won the Emmy, and then knock, and then somebody would deliver the Emmy. That's very cool. That was very interesting. I think that's a very good idea, especially for what happened, for what was going on. A lot of pre-tapes and all that stuff. Jimmy was worried about messing up, just like he did at the Oscars, just like he did. Like a thing happening where there was where La La Land won Best Picture, but Moonlight really won. All that stuff. There's very good behind the scenes tidbits from Jimmy's wife, and and obviously since Jimmy hosted, it was his staff from Jimmy Kimmel Live that took on the duties of producing the show and writing it and stuff like that. So I think they did a very good job for what it's worth. And I enjoyed my time watching the Emmys. It was that and a basketball game on at the same time, flipping back and forth and everything. I think it was a good job. So I don't want to harp too long on that because the Emmys already happened. And this show is a late week show. Next up, Microsoft to acquire ZeniMax Media and its game publisher, Bethesda Softworks. So in short, Microsoft spent $7.5 billion in cash to purchase Bethesda Softworks, which produces games like Doom, Fallout, Quake, Wolfenstein, Dishonored, and the Elder Scrolls series. This means that games from this point forward, published under those banners, published under the Bethesda Softworks banner, are technically owned by Microsoft. Now, this isn't the first time that Microsoft has purchased a company. So these, obviously it's not the first time they've purchased a company, but they've been, if you pay attention to video games, they've been buying up partners left and right so that they can ensure that this next generation of Xboxes will have more first-party games as opposed to this current generation, which has not had that many. And so that means games that are published under Bethesda Softworks' name from now on will be Microsoft branded. And obviously, they've bought other companies that have done that before. Like they bought Mojang, which makes Minecraft. They've bought probably, I don't know, one or two others. But I think this is a very good acquisition. Bethesda is a publisher that takes a long time on its games, but their games are beloved. Even, Doom, that Doom remake when it came out a couple of years ago, Doom 2, I assume what is the second one is called, the new Quake that's coming out, Wolfenstein series resurgence, like these games they left, Doom and Wolfenstein in particular, left the zeitgeist, and now they're back after phenomenal games, and it really shows. They really do good work. And which means Elder Scrolls 6 will probably is going to be coming, on the next generation in over 5 years, assumingly in over 5 years, but it'll be hopefully better supported because they have this funding and this support from Microsoft, parent company to Microsoft. So it's really good. And there's game periodicals that could talk more about this in a better way. Next up, this comes from Variety. Quibi may be for sale. Written by Todd Spangler, Jeffrey Katzenberg's Quibi is looking to sell itself, among other possible options. Quibi, you guys want to try out Quibi? Quibi is a mobile streaming platform service. and you can only watch it on your Apple Watch or your Garmin smartwatches. And the video is as small as your screen is. So the smaller your watch, the worse it is. And we only have 3 shows. One show is just old trailers of Alfred Hitchcock movies. The other show is a talking head political chat show. And the third show is reruns of 30 Rock. Not 30 Rock. Third Rock from the Sun, because that's everywhere. Okay. All right, we're done with that bit. Quibi, the mobile streaming subscription TV startup founded by Jeffrey Katzenberg, is exploring strategic options, including a potential sale. This comes from the Wall Street Journal, as reported earlier by. Now, Quibi launched, and it raised $1.75 billion from major studios and other investors, and it quickly tanked. In about 3 months, I think more than, let's say, 90% of the users dropped off because nobody wants to pay $5 to watch to look at their phones and do that and flip it up and down and stuff. And I urge you to watch the video if you're not watching the video, because I just did a whole routine with my hands. It was so stupid. Quibi did not confirm the report to the Journal, or they did not deny it as well. They obviously are going to do their best. They're not going to say anything until this is. They're not going to comment on this speculation, but they had Quibi had outside of what's it called, Schitt's Creek, outside of Schitt's Creek and Pop TV, which canceled not one day at a time. Excuse me. Outside of Schitt's Creek, well, they canceled a bunch of other shows. Outside of Schitt's Creek and Pop TV, Quibi probably had the and HBO. Quibi probably had the best Emmys, because it won Emmys for hashtag Free Ray Sean. It was nominated for a ton of short form things at the Creative Emmys, short form categories, and its lifespan. It's been talked about prior to launching. Prior to the pandemic, it was talked about, by everybody, and it had investors included Disney, NBC Universal, Sony Pictures Entertainment, Viacom, which is now ViacomCBS, Warner Media, Lionsgate, MGM, ITV, and Entertainment One, which is now part of Hasbro. It's got and then it got money from Alibaba Group. Katzenberg gave it money. Like, this thing was destined to live, and Soderbergh, Kevin Hart, Issa Rae, Anna Kendrick, Tegan, Idris Elba, Sam Raimi, Spielberg. Everybody was throwing themselves at this to make shows or to make or to invest money into it. And then it launches. It does okay for a little bit, and then after the 3-month free period, it drops. User base drops because people. People aren't moving around, and it's quick bites. You're meant to watch 5 to 7 minute episodes, and while you're commuting on the train or something. But B, people don't want to pay for something that you could at that point only use on your phone. Now you can watch it on, you can AirPlay it to your TV or Chromecast, but or cast it to your Chromecast, but it just missed the mark so many times on so many things. And, it's updating constantly. You get episodes every day or every week or so like that. But it just doesn't make sense now. If they do sell, I would love to see them sell to somebody like YouTube, which is a division of Google, and which is a division of Alphabet too. I would love to see them sell to YouTube, to somebody who knows mobile video. And I've said it before, Quibi is like a rich person's YouTube. It's where you can see, YouTube. Yeah, you like Good Mythical Morning, and you like Marquez Brownlee, and you like Justine, but they, personality can only take you so far, and they're so insular. But when you get to Issa Rae, when you get to Spielberg, when you get to Anna Kendrick, when you have like real shows or real narrative, which, yes, you can have on YouTube, but when you can have like the money and the look and everything, that's a dream. So I think Quibi should, and imagine YouTube buying that. And I know YouTube has gotten out of originals that aren't reality based, but imagine YouTube like having those shows and having all of these people on the world's largest video platform. But YouTube's not going to do it because they just sold off all their shows or canceled all their shows that aren't reality based. So Cobra Kai is on Netflix and people are watching it like it's the first time it came out. No, it came out 3 years ago at this point. So, and I know everybody didn't have YouTube Premium like I do, but when you subscribe to Google Play Music, you're gonna watch. And yeah, so who could buy it? Team up with Vimeo. Team up with somebody who has a better distribution outlook than you do. At that point, it was probably YouTube. Amazon. Sell to Amazon, so you can watch stuff on Twitch. I don't know how they get past this. Listen, we're going to take a break, and in the break, you're going to see something very special. So enjoy what's coming to you, baby.
Supe que era la mujer con la que yo quería pasar el resto de mi vida. Te amo.
Te amo.
Chiquitas hermosas. Ese güey ya se la peló. ¿Crees que me pueda quedar contigo unos días?
Yo siempre he querido un roomie.
Tu marido es un roomie.
No. ¿Te gusto o no?
O sea, tú necesitas que yo te ayude.
Tienes condones, ¿no?
Sin máscara no hay pelea, chavito.
No, espera.
¿Eres tu novio?
Bueno.
¡Eso! ¡Eso!
Ese güey no es gay.
¿Disculpa?
¿Cuándo le voy a decir la verdad?
Nunca, hermano.
Neta, qué paro que estabas aquí. No sé qué hubiera hecho si no hubieras estado.
Sí, ¿verdad?
And we're back to the show. Welcome back. You ever have that feeling where you're shooting an episode of The Constitutionals and you get up, you look at the camera, and the camera's battery is almost dead? Very lucky that did not die on me. Listen, what you just watched was a trailer for a TV show called De Nada's Brutas. Sorry, De Brutas Nada. De Brutas Nada. It's a new Spanish language TV show that is it's reminiscent of shows like The Bold Type and Friends and just basically any sitcom rom-com you like out there. A very fun, feel-good time, which I hate to describe things as, especially during what we are doing right now. But it is a show that I just interviewed the star of, Tessa Ia. Tessa Ia. She's a very bright and fun person to talk to. She and I discussed, and you'll see this interview at a later date, which I have yet to to know about myself. I forgot to write down when the show comes out. But the show was purchased by Sony, so you'll eventually see it somewhere on familiar platforms. So De Brutas Nada. Enjoy. It's a very attractive looking show full of just great, gorgeous people. Not one ugly person in the bunch, which, I mean, and it's a very funny show too. Yeah, there you go. Watch the show, and go watch that trailer again. Give him some love. This next one comes from the New York Times. Journalists are leaving the noisy internet for your email inbox. This comes from Mark Tracy. Now, this is very important. This is a story I saw not even 3 hours ago. And the reason the Constitutionals used to be early on, 100 170 episodes ago. It was me trying to find the voice for this show, and I don't know, and I truly didn't know what the show was going to be. And I just thought, you know, I'd got to have some type of weekly podcast come out. Although I did try to record I did 2 other podcasts before this, and for a little bit I was doing a daily podcast. It's called The Application, so I can get a job at WABE in Atlanta. Did not get the job. They strung me along until the very last interview. I did like 3 or 4 different interviews with them. And anyway, it still hurts. Not joking. So eventually the show became me reading news stories and talking about them. Of course, only in the entertainment business news world. And I like the entertainment business. Maybe I'm not meant to be a television writer the way I want to be. Maybe I'm supposed to be a business lawyer. I don't want to go back to school. I don't want to learn anything. That'd be a good show, though. You're a business lawyer. I gotta stop talking out loud. You're a business lawyer, and every episode you have a different client. There it is. Whatever. We all extrapolated what I meant from that. So I talk about stories, but one thing that I've kept going with the shifting tides in the stories has been that I try to talk about the writer. Like 99% of the time, I talk about the writer, and I mention the writer's name and things like that. And I joke around. I go, "Oh, Todd Spangler, my good friend." You know, I don't know. I don't know any other writers, but I always go like, "Oh, Leslie Goldberg, my good friend." And I say that because, you know, when you get to read the trades like Variety, Hollywood Reporter, The Wrap, and Deadline, when you read, you know, The Verge, Engadget, even IGN, he says with a heavy sigh, Vox, NPR, The Atlantic, when you get to read New York Times, when you get to read these people and learn their voices, you know, even if they aren't supposed to be editorial about it, you get to learn, you know, who they are and everything. But a bad thing that comes from them working for these periodicals and these big companies, and you even saw it this summer when Bon Appetit and Architectural Digest and Epicurious and all of those shut down for, you know, the past couple of months because Condé Nast is, you know, fostering a toxic work environment, which is another thing I hate saying, but a work environment that's not good for women, for people of color, A, or women, B. It's, you know, if you don't know the story there, just go Google Adam Rappaport, and you'll see that he was in brownface, ruined, and he lost his job, rightfully so, and he and the top brass at Condé Nast have always been horribly racist, and they lost a lot of good editors over at Bon Appetit because Condé Nast is a bad company, and Anna Wintour has not done anything. That being said, anybody offers me anything for more money than I'm making right now, I will do it, but I will voice my opinion. So there are other platforms like YouTube, like Twitch. Why did I say Twitch? Like YouTube, like Patreon, where these reporters can go to make money that isn't going to, and they can speak their minds and their voices and do all the writing they want to do without having that editorial oversight from a corporate nature, from a corporate standpoint, or from anyone else that will siphon their views or filter their views and things along that line. So there's a company called Substack, which has been around for a couple of years, and while it's free, while you can use it for free, writers that have been established can invite their readers to subscribe to their newsletter. That's what Substack is. It's a newsletter company, and they can charge you no money. They can charge you $5 a month, and you get these newsletters daily, weekly, monthly, whatever, and you know you can write about whatever. And so this piece from the Times talks about Casey Newton, how he left The Verge, which is a thing I like to read, and how he basically secured his his new lifestyle, his his new editorial lifestyle by writing on Substack and having his dedicated readers, also who can also still read The Verge, but also see this guy's views over on Substack, which is phenomenal, which is a good thing. And just like Patreon, the company Substack takes a small portion, so they take 10%, and if you have 1,000 people and per month, and they're paying $5 per month, you can make a living. Even less than that, you can make a living depending on where you live. So it's great, and so you see people. And what the piece goes over is newspapers are losing jobs or cutting jobs left and right. Even in the newsroom, in television, on the digital front, there have been thousands upon thousands of jobs that have been cut and lost over the past year, even. So this is a great way for those people who have a following to earn the money. However, just like Patreon, you are at the expense. This is the only word I can come up with. You're at the expense of what your audience, wants. If you say the wrong thing, they can pull their funding at any time. You know what I'm saying? Like if on the Doughboys Patreon, which is a food review podcast. It's so stupid. Fast food review podcast. Excuse me. You pay $5 a month. You get an extra episode of the show every month. Every week. You get an extra episode of the show every week. And so it's more time with those guys. But if those guys, they're obviously their comedy's not for everybody, because not every comedic thing is for everybody. So if they say the wrong thing, then someone can get mad and then go, oh, well, I'm never going to subscribe to the Doughboys again. And they can pull their $5 or however much they're paying for the Patreon. And that's why it's why I don't like Patreon. Yeah, and it's really interesting because like sometimes I subscribe to like a couple of people who have like 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, and they'll have a Patreon set up, and a couple of them, they are making a decent living, like a couple $100 a month, which is any amount of money is good, especially right now. But then there are others who are making like $0, and their Patreon's been up for like 3 years. And then there are a million subscribed, YouTubers that have Patreons that aren't doing well, and there's some that are doing well. So it's really up in the air. It's all fluctuating. Did not think I would spend this much time on this part, but Substack is a good way for these people who want to write and want to write what they want to make money. Although keep in mind, it's not for everybody. There's a thing called Discourse Blog, which it's a left-wing newsletter. 8 people are involved writing it, and they found it hard to attract readers through internet search. So they left Substack and went on to something else and started doing their own thing. And then obviously, which I didn't know, but obviously now as you're reading it, there are competitors, just like anything, there's a competitor to everything. And these competitors, again, have been around for a long time. There's an open source thing called Ghost. There's TinyLetter. There's Lead, which combines WordPress, the design agency Alley, and the payment service Pico. And I clicked through every single one of these. Substack, while it works and it's functional, it just looks too minimal. But then I looked at Lead, and it looks great, LEDE, and it just looks like this. It looks like something you could, use comfortably. There is one woman. Her name is last name Peterson. Jesus. Okay. See, this is why I should start taking notes. Anne Helen Peterson. She was at BuzzFeed News, and she went over to Substack, and she wanted to focus on a thing she calls culture study, which I guess she is like whatever she did at BuzzFeed, but I guess anyway, I don't know what this is. I don't read BuzzFeed. I'm not stupid. she uses culture study, and that's not a tag on anybody who reads BuzzFeed. They've done a lot of good for journalism. That's not sarcasm. She wanted to write. She does so for culture study. She writes longer features and things like that. But she brought over so many readers, so many subscribers. That I don't think this was a result of it. I don't know how the deal went down, but she has roughly 23,000 subscribers, more than 2,000 paid. So 2,000 people are paying. So let's say base, it says more than 2,000, but base 2,000, $5 a month, and then that's 5 times 2, 10. That's $10,000 a month. Anyway, but instead of giving Substack a 10% cut, she accepted upfront money along with an agreement to take 15% of subscription revenue for 1 year. So $10,000 a month times 12 is 12,000. They don't take that 10%. So let's say they offered her 150,000 upfront. I don't know. I'm not doing this math. This is probably not even how it happened. But they offer her, 150K upfront, and then she also gets 15% of the subscription revenues. That's an insane deal. That's great. That's wonderful, and she gets to do what she loves most. And then also, if you're thinking, well, what about insurance? They're bringing over. Substack is working on getting insurance. What about editors? If you write a lot, they're working on bringing internal editors over. Like Substack's really doing its best to help out the writer. This is going to be it's been around for 3 years and they have the funding, but it's going to be interesting to see where this goes, because you see people leave publications all the time, and it is a dying medium. The online, even like newspaper and even online is just suffering because there's just no financial backing. And it's so hard, and everything is, all the good journalism is hiding behind a paywall. So yeah, but I want to see how this pans out, and I want to see how the competition pans out, and just support people, whether it's directly, which I am against, giving someone money directly, but if I have to, then I'll do it because I'm sick of subscriptions. But if you can, don't just read a headline, read a story, share it, talk about your favorite writers, and go on from there. Listen, I talked a lot, so we're going to take another break. And when we come back, we'll finish up this stupid show. We'll see you soon. And we're back to the show. I had enough time to put one hand over on the phone to time the stupid segment, but I didn't have enough time to put one headphone in. Jesus, Chad. Okay. Let's talk about Paramount Network shifting its strategy. I wanted to talk about Ellen's apology, and what I wanted to do was to watch this video. You'll just see me swing the microphone for the first time. Let's see, I've had this microphone for 100, let's say like 2 years now, and I've had it on the stand, and I'm usually pretty good at swiveling and not even noticing that I'm swiveling it, because that's how good of a broadcaster I am. That's how good of a TV personality I am. And it swiveled and it hit my chin, and I didn't know what to do. For a split second, I felt attacked. Anyway, I wanted to watch Ellen's apology. Because I recorded the show, and I wanted to see her apology over what happened this summer, because apparently she's a terrible person. Apparently she's allegedly a terrible person. But I think that's even though the apology has been widely criticized and called what Jennifer Moss over at The Wrap quoted other current and former staffers as tone deaf, I do think that me watching the video and pausing it every so often and commenting and analyzing what she's saying would be rude. And I think that's important for me to say out loud instead of holding it in and going, I don't want to do this story. I don't think it would. I mean, even if she was, a horrible person to people, or, a unkind person, because she's the be kind lady. If she's an unkind person to people, and even if she, even if the producers around her fostered a horrible working environment, I don't think that me or anybody really, anybody going, every time she told a bad joke during this apology, it would be helping the situation. So my hope is that and this is apparently, working there. Apparently, I think I read in this piece from Ms. Moss over here on the Wrap, the work environment is, slightly different, and she's a little bit more involved in the meetings and stuff, but this is just the first week, so we'll see what happens. Maybe the microphone, I almost hit myself again. Maybe the microphone's just a little too loose. Anyway, check out this piece, and watch the apology video and see it's 6.5 minutes. See if you agree that this is tone deaf, and doesn't really fit. I get she's a personality, and I'll do one criticism. I get that she's a personality, and a comedic personality at that, but the start of this season, I know it's 18 years, and this is supposed to be a daytime show, and you're supposed to have fun and all that stuff. But after all of this, I would have come back, and God forbid I host a show and things like this happen. But it would have been smarter to come back, maybe do a couple of jokes up front, but then just address it and say, hey, listen, I understand, we're wrong, I'm sorry, and things like that. It shouldn't have been entertaining to watch is the problem. And while I didn't feel anything, and while, I really don't have opinion one way or the other on who Ellen is as a person, it'd be better for the workers who work there now and were former workers to hear the big boss address it and go, hey man, we effed up, and I really am sorry about that, and I will do my best to fix it. And then and then reach out to people who spoke and everything, and you're powerful. You can see who it was. All right, this comes from Variety. This last thing, written by Joe Otterson. Paramount Network rebrands, doubles down on movies and minis exclusive. All right, so ViacomCBS is known for its networks are niche, I would say. So BET is Black Entertainment. CMT is Country Music Television. Comedy Central is comedy. And though there are things going on in the background, like Comedy Central getting rid of all of its live action programming and focusing only on adult animation, MTV reviving old shows from way like in the early 2000s. They're still largely the niche networks. So for Viacom, CBS, for Paramount from Paramount New Movie Network, we got news letter last week. We got news last week that CBS All Access is becoming Paramount Plus, which is very imaginative. But Paramount the network, which used to be Spike TV, now it's really going to use that Paramount moniker. So with the shows that came out when Paramount started, Waco and Yellowstone, they became these prestige-esque television shows and limited series, and that really performed really well for the network. And Viacom sees that, and I guess that's what they did for Comedy Central. They saw that and they said, let's hone in on that. South Park, we air South Park all day, every day, and it gets solid ratings throughout. Let's move Beavis and Butthead and the Daria spinoff all the way over to Comedy Central. Let's do it, baby. TV Land, no more originals. We'll cancel Younger. And yeah, interesting. So Paramount Network is going to be Paramount Movie Network, and it's going to happen within the next year. They're going to do 52 original movies per year on the network, or basically one movie a week. That is essentially Hallmark levels of producing a movie. Like, that's crazy. Each movie will have a budget in the low to mid 7-figure range, of course, obviously. And once per quarter, the network expects to program a miniseries or scripted series on the scale of the hits drama Yellowstone, potentially spinning off characters from those projects into their own films or sequels in the future. Chris McCarthy, who is the head of president of entertainment and youth brands for ViacomCBS domestic media networks, he's the reason why there are only cartoons on Comedy Central now, and all those Comedy Central shows are either shipped off to HBO Max or canceled. This is part of his brainchild. Let's see. I see John Mulaney in here for some reason. Okay, so there's going to be half hours and... Oh, okay, no, excuse me, I'm sorry. There's just going to be adult animation on Comedy Central and stuff. All right, so as part of the programming shift, Paramount Movie Network will move out of unscripted programming. So the shows that are reality shows that are popular, like Ink Master... Ink Master's canceled, Wife Swap's canceled, and Battle of the Fittest Couples canceled, but Lip Sync Battle and Bar Rescue are going to be moved on different networks. Boy, I feel like Lip Sync Battle can live anywhere else, but Bar Rescue, I think that's such a perfect thing for Paramount because it was on Spike. I don't know where Bar Rescue could live. Not VH1. Not MTV, maybe CMT, and that's it. I think CMT also had the Dude Perfect show, and then that moved over to Nickelodeon, and it also had one more show, Nashville. It also had one more show that I can't remember, Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders, and that's all the things I've watched on CMT. Okay. The network scripted series Yellowstone will continue as part of the new strategy, having been renewed for a fourth season. I thought this show was on its second season. It feels like this show just started. However, the plan is to present the show as a cinematic experience, possibly programming 2 episodes in a single night with limited commercial interruptions. And I think they have the room to play around with this. It's interesting. With 50, oh my God. ViacomCBS had previously indicated it planned to program around 100 original movies a year across its portfolio, with 52 on Paramount, 20 to 30 on MTV, and 20 to 30 on Comedy Central. I wonder if that's still a go. You know, like reading that makes me wonder, why cancel the live action shows on Comedy Central if you're going to have, 20 to 30 low budget, presumably comedy films made by the very people who would star in those shows? Like I could see Drew Tarver. I was going to say John Early, and then I would just be naming white gay actors, comedic actors. I can see Drew Tarver, Aquafina, people along those lines making a cool, 70 to 80 minute movie for Comedy Central. Well, probably, if it's going to be an hour and a half, it'll be a 65-minute movie with commercials. With commercials, it'll be 90 minutes. They'll spread that out. But I can definitely see them making a movie for the network and it just being, something like a high budget YouTube movie, essentially. The show Robbie that, oh my God, I'm blanking on his name and I can see his face. Oh God, this is embarrassing. Robbie, Comedy Central. This is embarrassing. I feel so bad for not even remembering his name right. Rory Scovel. The show Robbie, which was like the last half-hour show that Comedy Central produced, and they just threw it on YouTube. I could have seen that being something, kind of in the movie format, that they produced something like now that I'm reading this, presumed 20 to 30 extra movies on Comedy Central per year. Someone to talk their horn. This is a very strange shift for Viacom. Intentionally making all of those movies for these networks, just even 52 for Paramount is quite truly insane. And it just makes me think, where are you? Like, that's not a good way to spend money. Like, this is the same company that would go dark on DirecTV or Dish Network because they're not getting enough money, to have their networks on there, or they'll charge YouTube TV a substantial fee, which means that YouTube TV throws the fee back on the viewer, and we have to pay an extra $15 per month just because we get Comedy Central and MTV on YouTube TV. Yeah, I mean, it's a cool thing because Netflix one year did a comedy special a week every Tuesday. And I think they were on that roll for like at least a year and a half to maybe 2 years. But where does it go from there? Like, you producing a bunch of crappy scripts doesn't equate to views. So it would have, I would like to see 20 movies instead of 50 too. 20 movies, modest budgets, just higher than the 7 figures you're going to give. And yeah, just put that kind of love and care into it. And Chris McCarthy, if you're watching, I got like 3 movie scripts ready to go. That's not a joke. I'm ready, like all ready to shoot. Hard R's, all of them, but ready to shoot. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where there's interviews with your favorite comedians and comedy-based people and other entertainment people like Tessa Ia. Next week, I have, on Monday, interviews with the cast of The War with Grandpa, starring Robert De Niro, Uma Thurman, Rob Riggle, Christopher Walken, Cheech Marin, Jane Seymour, and 2 other people whose names I forgot. That's embarrassing. But definitely check out those interviews. I talked to mostly everybody except for De Niro and Thurman. And cute little movie, It reminded me of, what's it called? Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Lots of great gags, mostly because it was handled by a couple of the SpongeBob guys, people who've worked in cartoons, so it's really gag heavy. Check it out. Check out the interviews. That's not a review of the movie. I'm not allowed to say anything about the movie, I don't think, until Monday. So that's not a review. Just saying it's got gags. So check out the interviews coming out Monday. Hopefully, I have all the videos. So yeah, it'll be out Monday. And then I'll be talking to the director, Tim Hill, who is a SpongeBob guy, next week, and you'll see that interview probably the day after I do it. So definitely check it out. Tessa Ia's interview is coming up soon as well. I have the video for that and the audio. If you want to see a video version of this show, as well as if you want to see the interviews, you can head on over to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can see our flagship show, News Time, which is like The Daily Show, except way less funny. I take one story and I extrapolate it to the fullest. It's a weekly show. This week's episode is about these 2020 summer box office and how the pandemic affected it. 70% drop, analysts suggest, and the rest of the box office as well. So definitely check it out. Good episode. I've been on a tear with these episodes lately, so I'm bound for a failure at some point. I'm kidding. Maybe. So definitely check it out. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at cpluscomedy. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Chad Black White. Like us on Facebook. Rate, review, subscribe this show. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. Now on Amazon Music as well, baby. That's right. We got the 5th tier. One of the first podcasts on there. That's not a joke. One of the first podcasts on Amazon Music. So they emailed me and I said, yes, let's do it. I don't know why you're emailing me, so let's do it. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Goodbye. This is the outro right here. Nope, did not press the button. Here it goes. Bye.